Shalom to my brothers and sisters in the body of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, who is the Messiah. And shalom, shalom to the scattered Hebrew Israelites who are throughout the four corners of the earth. Today, I bring you an update dealing with Yahuwah's calendar so you can be aware of the biblical events and of the holy feast days and of the sun's year, because a lot of people are not aware of how to keep track of the sun as well as how to keep track of the moon. This video will be straight to the point and in detail. So any video that I recommend for you to watch in this video, please do so, because then you can get your questions answered through those other videos, because this video will not be in detail concerning Yahuwah's calendar. Is just on to give you the events that are listed on the calendar. Okay. So the title of this video is the 8th day of Passover / Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Pentecost count, and the sun enters sign number 2. Now, when I'm talking about sign number 2, I'm talking about the second sign of Mazzaroth. Mazzaroth is mentioned in the King James 1611 Bible in the book of Job. Also, it does talk about it briefly in Genesis chapter 1, because we have to know what are the lights in heavens that tell us when the seasons begin to end. Okay. Today is Monday, April the 17th. The year is 2017 AD. So this video is being made during the daylight phase of April the 17th. Therefore, we are in Abib the 20th. My tongue getting twisted. And Abib 20th starts from April the 16th at sundown and ends on April the 17th at sundown, my brothers and sisters. Remember, we are on Yahuwah's calendar, and it's the opposite of the Gentile calendar. For our Father always begins and ends a day with daylight, from sundown to sundown. Okay? So we are soon approaching the 8th day of Passover, which is also known as Feast of Unleavened Bread. Please remember, my brothers and sisters, those two go hand in hand. They're not separated. It is an 8-day feast. Go back and read Exodus chapter 12. So starting at sundown today will be Abib the 21st. And Abib the 21st is the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is also known as Passover. Okay? And that would start on April the 17th at sundown and end on April the 18th at sundown. So let us begin. For those who have not been watching the videos, I just want to make you aware that Yahuwah has given us his prophetic message through his messenger last year. He has confirmed to us this is the season for his son to return and to fulfill the word that was written in the King James 1611 Bible. I am pleading with all Hebrew Israelites, please watch that video. There are 2 videos that comes directly from him through his messengers. The first video is attention to Hebrew Israelites, and the second video is attention to Israelites and Gentiles. I highly recommend that you watch that video, my brothers and sisters, and please share that video, and please share those videos with everyone who is willing to hear Yahuwah. And remember, be careful what you say, for the Father shall judge you for it. Okay? So now let us go to Yahuwah's calendar. For this has been a very interesting month for those who have been keeping a record of his calendar. Now, most of you are aware that in the West, such as America, we saw the new moon crescent before Israel. America saw it on, make sure I got the right month, on March the 28th at sundown. However, Israel did not see the moon crescent until March the 29th. It is a reason for that, my brothers and sisters. For the heavens are manifesting themselves to us. Again, you have to listen to Yahuwah prophetic message that will be listed in the video description box. And in this video, click on the eye that you see in the video. And I believe the eye will be in your upper right-hand corner. Click on that and you will get access to his message to understand why did America see the new moon crescent before Israel. Okay? So those have been those that have been reading the word has been learning that these holy feasts are giving us very important messages. It's also not I'm sorry, these feasts are not also reminding us about what the Father has done for our ancestors, but it also tie into his son, the Messiah. Okay. For these feasts are a foreshadow of what he has done, and is also a foreshadow of what he is coming to do. Okay. Now, to get more understanding about the Feast of Unleavened Bread, I highly recommend that you watch these videos, because in this video, I'm not going in detail again. Okay. So the videos you need to watch to get a full understanding what is the month Abib is about, and also what is the Feast of Unleavened Bread and Passover is about. These are the videos you need to watch, and I really want you to pay attention, because those who comment on the video, I can tell if you did not watch the other videos to get the full understanding. All right. The first video is dealing with the Israelites' New Year, Abib new moon, sun 365, moon 354, and prophecy fulfilled. Israel, no new moon crescent. Please watch that video, okay, to get the understanding about the Most High calendar events, and to see why the moon crescent did not show. The next video I highly recommend that you watch. It has a part 1 and a part 2. It will give you understanding about the Passover and why the Passover is the Messiah, the foreshadowing and what is yet to come. It has a part 1 and a part 2. Part 2 would deal with the plague of darkness. I highly recommend that you watch that, because the plague of darkness is coming, my people. Okay. The next video is that in this holy month, which is Abib, the Father also gave us another sign in the heavens, and that sign was Jupiter and Spica. Watch that video to get the news link so you can read about it, and also to watch the other recommended videos to get understanding what does it mean when Jupiter and Spica were seen in the heavens by the moon. Okay. And the last video to watch is dealing with Abib 16th. And Abib 16 is the day when my ancestors would bring their sheep weight offering before the high priest. So please watch that video, because this will be mentioned briefly in this video, but not in great detail, okay? So the title of that video is Abib 16, 2017. The sheep weight offering is the Messiah, the second Adam, okay? So now let's go back to the calendar. So now we are in the third week of the moon, which is very important. And today is Abib the 20th, okay? So starting at sundown today would be the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Take this last day of the 8th day of the feast to meditate on Yahuwah word, because the word is trying to, edify us, to let us know how important this feast is and what is the true spiritual meaning behind this feast. For the word wants you to remove the leaven that's in you. Okay? And let me show you this picture here, so I can give you a picture so you can see what the word is trying to do. Here we have a picture of leavened bread compared to unleavened bread, okay? Do you see how the leavened bread is puffed up and full? And when you compare it to the unleavened bread, it's flat and plain and simple, right? Okay? So with the leavened bread, it represents the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Herodians' false doctrines. And the only way to remove the leaven that is within you, all those false doctrines that was given to us by the Pharisees of today and by the Gentiles too. Okay? The only way you can remove that from you is by the word, the living word. Okay? I highly recommend that you take the time, or make the time, go back and read the gospel. For the Messiah gives you a solution. The Messiah gives you the cure to remove the leaven from you. Read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And when you read those books, for those who are more seasoned, who know more about Torah, you will begin to understand what the Messiah is saying to you. And for those who have a copy of the King James 1611 Bible, there are precepts in that Bible, in the New Covenant, that tells you to go back into the Old Testament, that tells you to go back to Torah, and you will understand what the Messiah is telling you. For his message go deeper, okay? For his message is deep. See, a lot of people looking at the things he's saying carnally, but they're not understanding the spiritual things. I highly recommend, again, that you go back and read those books of the gospel. And then you will understand how to cure yourself by the word, how to remove the leaven of the Pharisees, of the Sadducees, and of the Herodians. For they had given the Messiah's sheep false doctrines. That's what they're feeding them. And the only way you can be cured from that is by the word. Okay? So take this time now to pause the screen and meditate on this picture. And then you will understand what the Messiah is saying to you in the gospel. Okay? Now let's go back to the calendar now. So as I said before, today is Abib the 20th. And at sundown on Abib the 21st is the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is the 8th day. Okay? Now we are getting to the importance of how to count to Pentecost. Okay? And I will explain why Abib the 22nd is the first complete Sabbath. Okay? I will explain why. But let us go to the next important biblical event. Well, let us go to the next important event on the Most High Holy Calendar. For on the 23rd day of the moon, the sun shall enter into the second sign of Mazzaroth. Okay? And on the 20th day, and on the 23rd day of the moon, it begins on April the 19th and ends on April the 20th, from sundown to sundown. Very important to know. So when the sun enters into the second sign of Mazzaroth, which is called by the Gentiles call it Taurus, that would be the last day of the sun's first month. I'm going to say this again. When the sun entered the second sign of Mazzaroth, which is called Taurus, that would be the last day of the sun's first month. For those who are familiar with first and second Enoch, you will know what that means. As you see now, what is happening? Daylight is becoming longer than night. Go back and read first Enoch, and you will see what happened on that day. Okay? Now, on Abib the 24th, which is the 24th day of the moon, that would be the first day of the sun's second month. Okay? Something very important to pay attention. So in Israel, this is very important. You want to write this down. On April the 20th, 2017 AD, at 5:12 a.m., Israel Daylight Saving Time, that is when the sun is going to enter Taurus. Okay? That's in Israel. Now, I have an article from you to read in your spare time, and it comes from earthsky.org. And they give you the calendar dates and when the sun will enter each zodiac sign, or also known as the Mazzaroth signs. Okay, I highly recommend that you take time to read this article, because it would explain the difference between servile versus tropical. And this article dates are based on tropical, and tropical means sun. Okay, so it's based on the sun year. It's based on the sun circuit. When you learn about sidereal is based on the earth rotation, the earth circuit. That's what it's based on. Okay. And this is why the heathens are running into a 13th sign, because they're not following the word of the Most High, which is confirmed in the King James 1611 and also confirmed by the prophet Enoch's writings in his first and second book. Okay. But what I want to point out to you in the article, when you read it, when you get to this paragraph here, when it says astronomy and astrology are different, and I want you to understand they are very different, my people, okay? One difference, astrological signs of the tropical zodiac remain fixed relative to seasonal markers, such as the equinox and solstice points on the sky dome. So I hate when they use this word astrological, because really that's not the correct word. But the key word here that you see is tropical zodiac, okay? The tropical zodiac, when they say it remains fixed, that means it does not change in the heavens. And they are used for seasonal markers. These are the lights in the heaven that are used to tell you when your seasons beginning in, when your seasons beginning in. These are the lights that works with the sun. They work together, okay? So when the sun enter into each of these 12 signs, this is how you know when your season, this is how you would know what season you are in. This is how you know when spring began. This is how you know when summer begin and end. This is how you know when fall begin and end. And this is how you know when winter begin and end. For those who are more astute in the Most High calendar, you know that in the sun year, there are 3 months for each season. In other words, you have 3 months for spring, 3 months for summer, 3 months for fall, and 3 months for winter, which come out to be 12 months for the sun. Okay. I'm talking about for the sun year, for the solar year. Okay. The moon is different from the sun because the moon is always behind the sun. So there'll be a slight variation when you compare the sun to the moon. Okay. Remember, each of these lights in the heaven has a specific role and function to do for the Most High Holy Calendar. Okay. But let us continue to read. So when you look at the 12 signs, which is called Mazzaroth, they are fixed in the heavens. And the reason why they are fixed in the heavens because they are used to be seasonal markers. So when the sun enters these 12 zodiac signs, this is how we know when the season's beginning in. Also, there's another special sign in the heavens when we see the light becoming longer the day or the night becoming, I'm sorry, let me say this correctly. Another sign in heaven, as we can see now, the daylight is becoming longer than night. Okay, that's another sign. You have to read First Enoch to understand why that is so. And you also have to read the Book of the Kings, why that is so. Okay, let us continue to go. And also the Book of Chronicles. But let us continue to go on. Then later on through the year, the night become longer than day. It's a reason for that. These are all signs in the heavens, and they're all used to let us know when each season beginning in. Also let us know when the sun months begin and end. Okay? All right, now let's continue to read. Meanwhile, the constellation of the zodiac and signs of the sidereal zodiac slowly but surely shift eastward relative to the equinox and solstice points over the long course of time due to a motion of Earth called precision. So here's my proof to let you know that sidereal zodiac is based off of the motion of the Earth, which is called precession. Okay, that's very important to know. So when depending what source you use, if they're giving you a 13th constellation, that is incorrect because they're going by sidereal zodiac and not by tropical zodiac. It's a big difference between the two. So this article I'm going to put in the video description box where you can click on the link and read more about it. But this to let you know, when the sun enters the first sign of Mazzaroth, it is 0 degrees. That's very important to know. This is how you know if you have the correct resource to go by. Okay. So when you go further down this article, it gives you, the dates of when the sun entered these 12 signs. Now, what I want to point out, when you look at April, you see what April the 19th, 2017. And the first thing you're going to say, well, Sister Gideon told us that the sun entered Taurus, which is sign number 2, on April 20th for Israel. This is how you have to understand about time zone difference. See, I could tell by looking at this article dates that it's based more on probably the, what's the word I'm looking for? Western hemisphere, in other words. It's based on more us in America than in dealing with the Eastern hemisphere, which is mostly based on Israel. Okay, so that's the difference. You're in a different time zone. So this is why you would see April the 19th, because those who are familiar about the different time zone would know that when you look at the time when the sun entered Taurus in Israel, which is at 5:12 a.m., we are aware that in America on the East Coast, we are 7 hours behind Israel, right? Okay, so because we are 7 hours behind Israel, when you subtract 7 hours from 5 hours, from 5:12 a.m. in the morning, you will find that our day when the sun entered Taurus, which is the second sign of Mazzaroth, will fall on April the 20th at, let me go back and see here, which would be at 10:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's something very important for you to know. You want to write this down. For us in America on the East Coast, the sun will enter the second sign of Mazzaroth, which is called Taurus, on April the 19th at 10:12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Okay? That's something very important for you to know. So when you read this article, when you see a slight difference to compare what I have, that is why. Remember, this is mostly based on probably on the times in America versus on the times in Israel. Okay? So take this time now to pause your screen to look at that. And notice that when the sun entered Aries, which is the first sign of Mazzaroth, it was at 0 degrees. That's very important to know. Okay? And even the word would confirm that the heavens are in a circuit. It surrounds the earth in a circuit. So same thing with the sun circuit. It goes around and it enters each of these 12 sign points and within a circuit. Okay? When you look at the Hebrew language, you will learn that it is a circuit. Okay? So I'm going to bring this up a little bit so you can take this time now to pause your screen to look at those dates. But this article will be in the video description box. Now let's look at Pentecost. Why would Sister Gideon say Abib the 22nd is the first complete Sabbath? Okay? So let us go to the word to understand how do we count for Pentecost. And I want to let you know right now, every farmer would tell you wheat is only ripe in the summertime. This is very important to know for those who are observing the Most High holy days. The wheat is only ripe in summertime. And the word will confirm everything I'm telling you now. Even the Messiah will confirm this. Okay, so let us begin. So what happens is that most of us just go to Deuteronomy chapter 16 and we just read that and we start from there. But what most people are not understanding is that the Bible has pieces to the puzzle. In other words, you're not given the whole story in one chapter or in one book. You have to read the whole volume of the book to see the whole picture. So what we're going to do first, my brothers and sisters, we're going to read Deuteronomy chapter 16, and we're going to start at verse 9, okay? And we're going to read the scriptures that pertain to the Feast of Weeks, which is called Pentecost, all right? So in verse 9, it says, 7 weeks shall thou number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks. from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn. Now, the sickle is an instrument that is used to cut the 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 wheat or the barley. Okay, that's what that means. A sickle is an instrument that is used to cut the barley and wheat. Okay, let me show you what a picture of a sickle look like. Let's pull that up. Okay, and a sickle look just like a crescent moon. Not sickle cell. I'm sorry about that. Okay, here the definition of a sickle is a short handle farming tool with a semicircular blade used for cutting grain, looping, or trimming. Okay, so we're going to show you an image of that. So here's some images of what a sickle look like. It looked like what? A new moon crescent, right? Okay. Okay, so let me go higher up. I'm going to just click on this one. Does this seem like a decent picture? Because they just show. That's not that big. But anyway, here's a picture of what a sickle would look like. So it looks like what? A new crescent moon. Okay, that's the instrument that my ancestors used to cut the barley and wheat. Okay, so now that we have seen what a sickle looked like, let us go back to Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 9. Now, those who have a copy of the 1611 Bible, that's a precept for you to go to. But before we look at the precept, I want to show you what the picture of the King James 1611 Bible looked like for verse 9. So we're going to click on this picture here, because this is the wonderful thing about having a copy of this Bible. It gives you the precept so you can read further, so you can get the full understanding of what that verse is telling you. So in Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 9, we see here that there's an asterisk by the word 7 weeks. And that asterisk is telling us to go to Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15. Now we shall go there after we finish reading all the verse. But this is why I want to point out to you, Hebrew Israelites. This is why it's so important. This is why it's so important to get your copy of the 1611. And also, if you don't have a copy of it, I'm going to give you the link to the King James 1611 so you can use to study, because the Bible is written as a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, each of the chapters and books we read has a piece to the puzzle, but you have to read the whole volume of the book to put all the pieces of the puzzle together to see the whole picture. That's how the Bible is written. Okay, so now let us go back to Leviticus chapter 16, and I'm going to read verse 9 to you again. Okay. 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee, begin to number the 7 weeks, from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn. So I want you to keep that verse in the back of your mind, because a lot of people think, okay, just 7 weeks. That's what they're thinking. We only have to count 7 weeks. But they fail to see that you need to read Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15. But we're going to continue to read further down. Okay. Verse 10, and thou shalt keep the feast of weeks unto Yahuwah thy El with a tribute of a free will offering of thy hand, which thou shalt give unto Yahuwah thy El, according as Yahuwah thy El has blessed thee. Now that's also a precept for that verse. Let me see what that verse go to. Well, it's not dealing with precepts, dealing with subscribing a word, dealing with sufficiency. Okay. And that word, let me click on this picture for verse 10 so you can see what sufficiency was pertaining to in verse 10. It was dealing with attribute. Okay. Now, if you don't understand what a free will offering is, it is given in detail in Torah. So do a word search on free will offering. I know it's in the book of Exodus and definitely in the book of Leviticus to give you more understanding. What is a free will offering? Do not let the Pharisees of today tell you something different, because they will often try to use this verse to gain monies for themselves. Okay. But let us continue to read verse 11. And thou shalt rejoice before Yahuwah thy El, thou and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates, and this stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are among you, in the place which Yahuwah thy El has chosen to place his name. So those who have a more understanding about how we keep a memorial of the Most High Holy Feast, which is such as Feast of Weeks, known as Pentecost, know that we keep it through the Messiah. He teaches how to keep a memorial of these holy feast days through him. So when we do that, we are fulfilling the law. Those who understand the mysteries. For we are aware we don't have a temple in the earthly realm. We are aware that we don't have a high priest in the earthly realm. So we're aware of that. But what I want to point out in this verse, notice that it says what? Look at the people that are supposed to participate in this holy feast day, which is Pentecost. It says you, your son, your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, the Levite, the stranger. And the stranger is talking about non-Israelites. Go back and read Exodus chapter 12, and you'll see who those strangers were. For they joined covenant with Yahuwah. For the strangers also joined in covenant too with Yahuwah. Read Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 10 through 15. Also the fatherless, the widow. Okay. So it's showing you that those who will enter into the new covenant with the Messiah are too supposed to keep a memorial. The word has not changed. So it does include Israelites and Gentiles, males and females, bond and free, barbarians, Scythians, etc. Okay? Verse 12. And thou shalt remember thou was a bondman in Egypt, and thou shalt observe and do these statutes. So you need to ask yourself, why would the Most High command Moses to write that in verse 12? Let's read that again. And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in Egypt, and that thou shalt observe and do these statutes. He's reminding you, remember, you once was a servant, Hebrew Israelites. So therefore, we don't need to vex or oppress strangers who wants to come in covenant with the Messiah, who wants to serve Yahuwah. Also, this verse is reminding us what he did for our ancestors and how he made a covenant with our ancestors. Therefore, we are to observe and do these things too. But now we do it through the Messiah. Okay? For those who understand the mystery on that with the new covenant. So now that we have finished reading Deuteronomy chapter 16, for verse 9, we're going to go to the precept to give us more understanding. How do we count for Pentecost? Now, I want you to take this time to pause your screen and to get these precepts for Deuteronomy chapter 16. Okay? So let us go to Leviticus chapter 23. And I found that a lot of brothers and sisters do not read Leviticus chapter 23. They only run to Deuteronomy chapter 16 and they stop there when it pertains to the Feast of Weeks, known as Pentecost. But let us read Leviticus chapter 23, starting at verse 15, and we're going to end at verse 16. Okay? Now notice this followed after the sheaf weight offering. This is very important. Verse 15 follow after the instructions for the sheaf weight offering, which is the first fruits of the barley harvest. Okay. Verse 15. And ye shall come unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the weight offering. 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. So what was the day we brought the sheaf weight offering to the high priest, my brothers and sisters? Let's go back to the calendar. The day we brought the sheaf weight offering was Abib 16, and that was the same day when Yahushua was resurrected from the grave. All right, so we got that information. Let's go back to Leviticus chapter 23. So it say here, and ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf weight offering. So what was the morrow that came after the Sabbath? Let's go back to the calendar and look. All right. So we know the Messiah was crucified on Abib 14th, which is Passover Day. And we know following Passover Day was the 7th day of Yahuwah's calendar, the 7th day of the week. Okay? So Abib 15th was the Sabbath day. So the morrow after the Sabbath day is Abib 16th. Okay? So if we count from Abib 16th to Abib 22nd, we get a total what? 7 days. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this makes our first complete Sabbath or first complete week. Okay? Let us go back to Leviticus chapter 23. So the morrow after the Sabbath was the big 16th, and from that day ye shall bring the sheaf weight offering, which we did, which is the big 16th, which is the first fruit of the barley harvest. Okay, they had to put the sickle to the corn. Again, corn we mean wheat, but also for barley too, because when you look at barley, it looks like what little rows of corn, don't it? Okay. Then after that, from the day that you brought the sheep, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the weight offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. So we are to count 7 Sabbaths. So we already got the first Sabbath, okay? Let us continue to go on. Verse 16. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath. Okay, you want to highlight this verse. Let me read it again. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahuwah. Now, this is a verse that many brothers and sisters miss. They just say, oh, we just count 7 complete Sabbaths. That's it. No, it's something more. It said what here? Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath. So after the 7th Sabbath, starting after the 7th Sabbath, we are to start counting 50 days. Now, y'all know what you're thinking. Huh? Why do we have to do that? I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to go ahead and give it straight to you. If you don't count 50 days after the 7th Sabbath, you will hold Pentecost out of season. And the reason why Yahuwah tells you to count 50 days, because the Feast of Weeks, known as Pentecost, can only be kept in summertime. And the reason why it can only be kept in summertime, because wheat is only ripe in summertime. It's there. It's there, my people, from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. And if you don't even believe me, ask more than one farmer. Now, these Pharisees today going to come with some lies and give you a person to talk to, but do your own research. Because even my dad used to farm, and he even told me out his own mouth, wheat is only ripe in the summertime. So you must have wheat to present a new offering unto Yahuwah, right, my brothers and sisters? So if you hold the Feast of Pentecost in the spring season, because that's what's going to happen to you, you have no wheat. So how are you going to bring a new meat offering unto Yahuwah? Come on now. Remember, I told you that the Most High calendar go hand in hand with the earth. See, the heavens and the earth line together. They work together. And there's certain signs that the earth give to us that goes aligned with the seasons. Okay? Now let us go to what the Messiah, because even the Messiah gave you a hint. All right? Now that hint can be found in John chapter 4. All right? And I want you to pay close attention to what the Messiah is saying here. Because when you read John chapter 4, it follows after them celebrating Passover in Jerusalem. And you will see what I mean as we read John chapter 4. So we're going to start with, let me see what verse I want to start with here. Verse 31. Let's start with verse 31, okay? This is John chapter 4, verse 31. In the meantime, while his disciple prayed him, saying, Master, eat. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat, that ye know not of. Here's the Messiah going again. He's giving them a spiritual message. Pay attention to what the Messiah is saying. So let me read verse 32 again. Oh, excuse me. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that ye know not of. Therefore said the disciples one to another, have any man brought him aught to eat? Yahushua said unto them, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. Highlight that, my brothers and sisters. Again, that's confirming about what was done on the cross when you understand the Hebrew letters, the Picto-Hebrew and the Paleo-Hebrew. Highlight that verse. When you watch other videos, you understand why I'm so excited about this verse. But highlight that verse and you will see the connection when you watch those other videos. But here the Messiah said, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. So who is this him that the Messiah is talking about? The Messiah is talking about Yahuwah, doing the will of Yahuwah and to finish Yahuwah work. You really need to understand what the meaning of the Hebrew letter Yod is and why the Messiah body was placed on the cross. And why the Messiah body was placed on the cross in the form of Yod. That's a mystery behind that. Verse 35. Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to the harvest. You want to highlight that verse because it goes hands in hand with a spiritual meaning about harvest. Okay? But here also, the Messiah said, there are yet 4 months for harvest to come. What did he mean by that, Hebrew Israelites? For as you've seen when we read further down, see, they just had Passover in Jerusalem. And he said there's yet 4 months for harvest. See, he's already telling you about the wheat harvest. It comes in 4 months. Think about it. I don't want to spoil it yet. I'll wait. Let's keep reading. Okay. Verse 36. And he that reapeth receiveth wages and gathereth fruit unto life eternal, that both he that soweth and he that reapeth may rejoice together. Now, there's a precept that goes to verse 35 to give you more understanding what he's saying in verse 36. See, those who labor for the gospel. See, some of us are sowing seeds, and some of us are reaping men to the gospel. And for the labors we are doing for the gospel, for Yahuwah and for Yahushua, we shall be rewarded greatly. For you already know there's few laborers in the fields. Okay. Verse 37. And herein is that saying true, one soweth and another reapeth. Verse 38. I sing you to read that whereon ye bestow no labor, other men labor, and ye are entered into their labors. Verse 39. And many of the Samaritans of that city believed on him for the saying of the woman which testified, he told me all that ever I did. So when the Samaritans was coming to him, they besought him that he would tarry with them, and he abode there 2 days. So he stayed with the Samaritans 2 days, my brothers and sisters. Verse 41. And many more believed because of his own word. Now, if you don't understand the history of the Samaritans, I highly recommend that you go back to the book of Kings and Chronicles and the work of Josephus, and even the Apocrypha in the book of Ben Sirah, and I believe it's chapter 50. For the Samaritans was Gentiles, and they will often claim the identity of being Judeans, or being Jews, or being Israelites. It's a very interesting history about the Samaritans. For even when they asked him, who is our neighbor, even Yahushua told them and gave them a parable. And I'm going to make it short for you. I think it's in the book of Luke, chapter 10. He said, he even let us know that the Samaritans are our neighbors too. Hebrew Israelites. But let us keep reading. Okay. Verse 41. And many more believe because of his own word. So many believe the Messiah because of his word. Do you see how the word was feeding the people? Just by hearing the word, they believe. That's faith, my brothers and sisters. Verse 42. And said unto the woman, now we believe not because of thou saying, for we have heard him ourselves, and know that this is indeed the Messiah, the Savior of the world. So the Samaritans said to the woman, now, we believe not because of what he's saying. Let's see, let me make sure I read this right. It said, now we believe not because of your saying, for we have heard him ourselves. So they believe because they heard him themselves. And because they heard him spoke, they knew he was the Messiah, the Savior of the world. Verse 43. Now after 2 days, he departed thence and went into Galilee. So after 2 days of being with the Samaritans, he went into Galilee, my brothers and sisters. And verse 44. For Yahuwshua himself testified that a prophet have no honor in his own country. Now what he's saying is so true, because even we ourselves who have been preaching the gospel to our brothers and sisters, even in our hometown, and I'm a witness of this, we are rejected by our own people, by the people in our town, by our families. So what the Messiah is saying is very true. He said, for Yahuwshua himself testified that a prophet have no honor in his own country. And that is so true. A prophet has no respect in his own country. Verse 45. Then when he was come into Galilee, the Galileans received him, having seen all the things that he did at Jerusalem at the feast. For they also went unto the feast. So you need to ask yourself, what was this feast they're talking about? Well, you will find the answer in John chapter 2. Let me find the verse here. John chapter 2. And, okay, read the whole chapter of John chapter 2. And then look at verse 23. Okay. So the feast that they had at Jerusalem recently was the Passover. Okay. Verse 46. So Yahushua came again into Cana of Galilee, where he made the water wine, and there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick at Capernaum. So I'm going to stop there, but I highly recommend that you read the whole book of John chapter 4. Now, these are one of the verses to prove to you that Pentecost is in the 4th month of the Hebrew calendar. This is one of the verses. There's many of the verses from the Old Testament to the New Testament of the King James 1611 Bible. Okay? But what I'm doing now, I'm giving you the formula that was written in Leviticus chapter 23. And you have to read verse 15 through 16. Okay? For that particular harvest, dealing with the Feast of Weeks and dealing with Pentecost. Which is known as Pentecost. This is to confirm to you that we are to count 7 complete Sabbaths and 50 days. For the sheaf weight offering fell on Abib the 16th, and we just counted in the calendar from Abib the 16th to Abib the 22nd is 7 days. That is your first complete Sabbath, my brothers and sisters. And then after 7 complete Sabbaths is fulfilled, according to the word in Leviticus chapter 23, verse 16, we are to account 50 days after 7 complete Sabbaths. For example, I'm going to use this calendar so you know. Let's say that this was the 7th complete Sabbath, what you see here with my cursor at. So this was the 7th complete Sabbath. So after that Sabbath, you must count 1. That'd be day 1, and then so forth. That's how you do it. So in the month of the count of Abib, we would have 2 complete Sabbaths, okay, which fell on Abib the 22nd and Abib the 29th, and that's how you account your Sabbaths. And after your 7 complete Sabbaths, you would count 50 days. And when you do that formula correctly, you will find you will be in the 4th month of the Hebrew calendar, which is summertime. Okay? And I'm trying to find a word for it. And there would be other videos to give you more evidence and detail when that time approaches. Okay, my brothers and sisters? So take this time now to approach your screen to look at the third week of the moon. Okay? The third week of the moon is from Abib the 16th to Abib the 22nd. And on Abib the 22nd, we see the moon would be waning 50%. So we have a half a moon on Abib the 22nd. And Abib the 22nd starts from April the 18th at sundown to April the 19th at sundown. And once that third week of the moon is completed, in the fourth week of the moon, the sun will enter the second sign of Mazzaroth, which is Taurus, on Abib the 23rd. And that will be the last day of the sun's month. And that last day of the sun's month will be a total of 31 days. Okay? So for the first month of the sun, we will have a total of 31 days. There will be another video done later on to give you the totals for the sun month and for the moon month, so we can compare. And we're also going to be comparing count the whole days also to the actual time of the moon and sun. All right, my brothers and sisters, this completes this lesson. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the video description box. But please take time to watch those videos that are recommended for you, so you can get a full understanding about Yahuwah's calendar. Also, that you can get a full understanding about how to count your Pentecost. Okay? So this ends this lesson for the 8th day of the Passover this lesson for the 8th day of Passover / Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Pentecost count, and the sun entering the second sign of Mazzaroth. So my family, remember Brother Alayasha and his family, for they've been falsely accused and their children been taken away from them. Keep that story alive and continue to have them in your prayers. Okay? So I end this video with this prayer. I plead the blood of Yahuswshua HaMashiyach upon this video post, and the links are attached. I pray, Yahuwah, that your children, your people, will receive understanding about your calendar and about your holy days, and that they will understand the mystery on how to keep them through your Son, Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, who is the Messiah. I also pray that our enemies will repent and turn from their wicked ways. But I know what the words say. They will not repent, and they will be hard-hearted. So whatever they plan against us, Father, I pray that it turn against them and that they fall in their own pits. And I also pray for the Pharisees of today, for they have hardened their heart, and they will not allow the word to come and dwell in them and to remove the leaven from them. I pray for them, Father, for they are blind and deaf. I pray that they would just turn from their wicked ways and not let greed be upon them, not let the spirit of pride be upon them, not let their ego be puffed up. I pray that they learn how to humble themselves before it is too late. I pray that they remember your words when you bring them out in the wilderness, and that they understand that the rebels will be cut off. Those that has misled his sheep, he's going to deal with them. So I pray that they really pay attention to your warnings, especially the one that is written in Ezekiel chapter 34. I pray that. I pray that they listen to the warnings and take heed and turn from their wicked ways. And Father, I pray for Alayasha family, that you protect them from all danger, harm, and evil. Look over their children, Father, for they are among strangers. Look over the husband and the wife, for they, I don't know about the wife yet, but I know about the husband. that he is behind bars. So protect them, for you know what it's like in those prisons, fathers. Protect them. But I pray that that situation be used to glorify you. And I pray that you would strengthen them and give them the ability to preach your word to those that's in the bars. Because it's time for Jacob to wake up. Anything, Father, that I have not prayed for, that I ask that you fulfill it according to your will. In the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, so be it. All right, my family, continue to preach the gospel that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for we know the Messiah is coming, for Yahuwah has spoken. And make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, and make sure they are baptized in the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach. For you know what the warning is in Mark chapter 16, in the last chapter of Mark. For you must be baptized in his name. For the water in the earth is the second witness. 1 John chapter 5. All right, my family. I love you all. And Shalom.